Hey there, welcome to the week 5 session of the training tutorial on digital marketing. I am Manish Sena from manishadda.com. Let's understand what we have covered so far. So far under week 1, week 2, week 3 and week 4 we have covered about rewiring your brain, that is changing your mindset. We have talked about personal branding. We have talked about digital marketing for beginners. We have talked about niche selection and a brief about WordPress. Now, in digital marketing, in this week 5 of the tutorial, what we are going to cover is we are going to talk about website page essentials. We are going to talk about the common mistakes as a beginner we do, and we are going to clear some confusions about the incomplete knowledge about building a website. So that is what we are going to cover this week. To start with, I would say that if you want to become a digital marketer, then building your brand is very important. To build your brand, why it is important is it will showcase your work and will build trust among customers. So building a website or having your own website is essential towards building your own brand, and it's also the first step towards stamping your authority and showcasing your abilities. So this is what your website will demonstrate about you. But before we move into building or reaching to a stage where we are ready to build our website, let's understand the typical mistakes that we make as a beginner. The first mistake that we make is that we focus more on design and the layout without thinking much about what the content would be, and we start populating the pages. We do not have an idea about what the site is all about. We spend too much time creating, or rather perfecting, everything what we want to publish, which causes delays. And apart from that, we hurriedly actually go into hosting and installing WordPress without knowing what they are doing. So what we do basically is that since we want to build our website, we hurriedly go and look for a domain name for our website. When we go and find a domain name which we would like to be our representation, we find that the domain name has already been taken. So what we do is we go, when we look about searching of the website providers or the domain providers suggest you certain names, and we go by those names, like it may say that .co.in, .org, or may contain a hyphen in between the names, and we buy that domain without thinking much about it, without understanding much about it, and then we go up to sign up for a hosting account, because to host your site and make it public you need hosting services. But we do not know which one to take, how much it is going to cost per month. We do not understand whether we need to have a private server or a shared hosting services we need to take, which hosting services to take or which server we need to take. So these are the common mistakes as a beginner we make, and we get confused because there are a lot of things when we go for hosting. There are a lot of things that needs to be connected, and for non-technical people it's all the more difficult. So for them, they need step by step instructions, and they search for these informations as to how step by step one needs to act upon to build their website. So once they are confused, they do not know what to do, and they feel lost and they feel frustrated, and that's you do not know actually how to do things. You do not know in what order the things have to be done, and you do not have endless time actually to spend building your website. But with this tutorial of digital marketing that you are undergoing through, you will understand these mistakes, and I'll take you through step by step in multiple classes that we are going to go through and build your website. To build your website, let us understand what are the key components in building a website. Now, to build a website, to me, there are 5 components to it. Number 1 is your idea, that is, what is the purpose of your site, why you want to build a site, how you are going to translate your ideas into a site. This is number 1. Then, what is the type of content that you're going to put into your website is number 2. Once you've decided about the idea and about the content that you're going to put, it has to be put in a proper structure so that people can easily maneuver through. That is, they can easily navigate through and reach to the article or the content that they want to read through or go through. Then comes the design, the layout, basically, which contains the colors, then visuals, graphics that you want to put onto your site, and finally it boils down to hosting your website. Now, when you talk of idea of your website, which means that there has to be a purpose for your website, that is, what is your website all about? Who is your target audience? Now, knowing the purpose of your site and what role you want it to play for your business will affect every other decision you make. It will also make those decisions easier. Hence, you should definitely start with this step. Now, the second point in your idea is call to action. Now you have decided on the purpose of your site, for whom you want to build that particular site. You need to have a call to action, that when the visitors come to your site, what are they going to do on your site? Do you want them to purchase something? Do you want them to put their details into it so that you can give them a call back? Or it's just a discovery session, they sign up for a discovery session. So that's call to action. That is, when a visitor comes to your site, there has to be a call to action which you will have to decide upon. The third part in your idea formation is the user interaction. Now, what do you want your website visitors interacting on your website? Do you want them to comment on your blog? Do you want them to have take membership of your site? So you have to decide on that what your user is going to, what type of interaction your user is going to have. But this is not essential to think through at the initial stage. You can decide upon it at a later stage. Now, coming to the second part, that is content. Your content is basically the heart of your website. Depending on the purpose of your site, you will need different types of content. Now, which will in turn affect the other aspects of building your site, like the design of the site. Now, some of the examples which I can give is like your blog posts. You may put videos, you may put audios, you may put images, you will like to have a sidebar and pages which will actually carry your content and showcase your content on the website. Now, coming to the third part where I talked about structuring your website, people who are working in any organization understand the organogram of the organization. There's a hierarchy. In a similar way, the website also has a hierarchy, and this hierarchy is essential to make people understand and make visitors more comfortable in navigating through what they want to know from your website, or wherever they want to go into your site, they can easily navigate through. So that is why structuring your website is very important, which we call as the website organization. Now the site will have menus. It will have a hierarchy under which menu what you want to place. So that is how it looks like. You can see from this slide of my website, which clearly says the menu, under which you see the toggle bars over there, which down arrows, and if you click on them, you will put your cursor on them, it will show the drop down menus as shown in the organogram. The fourth point that I would like to discuss is, or I had earlier mentioned, was the design of your website. Now, there is a reason why many companies actually spend enormous amount of time and money in branding and designing the design of their site. They pay very minute, it has a very, not minute, but they pay minutest of details of designing the site in terms of the psychology of the color, because it impacts how well a website resonates with the audience. And you definitely want a design that will resonate with your ideal client that you are looking for, or for whom you are building your site. So it talks about layouts, it talks about visuals, it talks about colors. Why I'm saying about design so much is that it will help you attract and keep your visitors on your site. So that is very important. Why? Because it increases the usability of your website. When a customer visits your sites and you are able to retain him on the site, the usability actually increases. The next comes is, the fifth point is hosting your website. So you have an idea, so you have designed your idea, what your content has to be, the purpose you have designed so far, you have made call to action, you have understood what the user interaction that you want your users to have on your website, you have decided on the content that you are going to put on your website, you have structured your website, then you have put full effort in designing the design part of your website, how it will look like, what colors you are going to do, in fact the layouts, the visuals, the colors. Now once you have done everything, the top 4 action items you have taken on your own, now it's time for you to host your website. Now when you want to build your website, you need to set up a website hosting. This is mainly a technical work that a non-techie people do not feel comfortable doing it. In fact, this is where a lot of people get stuck, and they try to figure out how hosting works, and they do not understand the jargons that are used into it. So a web hosting, when we talk about web hosting, it consists of your domain name, it consists of the website hosting company, and the software updates that will run your website smoothly. So to understand how a website works, let us see how a website actually works. Means if a person wants to reach to your website, how a website actually get displayed on just writing the domain on the browser. Now before we go into that, let us understand what a website is all about. So let's understand like this. If you have a shop, it has an address, physical shop, and you have an address. Now this physical shop, if you want to make it online or visible to masses across the globe, you need to host it on internet, right? So it's nothing but your shop on internet. The address of your shop is your domain name. So if you, and to put your site visible to the people, you need website hosting services. So I've mentioned two, Hostinger and Bluehost. I personally use Hostinger because I've been comfortable with that, so I don't want to move to some other part. So I use Hostinger as a web hosting services. So, but the content that you have built, the chart or the structure that you have built, where does it get stored actually? So you, like in a shop, you store your products. In a similar way, the hosting services actually store your content. So it will have softwares, your content is there. So web hosting stores all your content, and as I said earlier, the domain name is the address of your stuff. Now why I'm saying is the address of your stuff is that when a person actually types a domain name, the hosting services direct that this is where your stuff lies, or your product lies there. It needs to understand that and direct towards that site. So when you type, say, manishadda.com, so whatever content is there which is stored by the hosting services will be pushed through the customer. So the browser, when you type the domain name, the browser displays your stuff to the user or the client that you are targeting for. So what you do is you type your domain name. I've covered this just a few minutes back, so I'm just taking you through hurriedly. So you type your domain name. So once you type your domain name, on the left part, if you see, I have written yourwebsite.com. So you will have your domain name, could be anything, like mine is manishadda.com. So I'll type in manishadda.com. It goes through internet, via internet, to the hosting services, which could be Bluehost, Hostinger, or other hosting services. And once you type that, it reaches to the site, to the address where it is stored by the hosting services. The hosting services direct it to there, and once it is there, it populates your data up and pushes you through to your browser on your handheld device or on your computer. That's how it actually looks like. So going through, I think you have understood why you need to build your website. You have to have your own website. Now how you are going to build your website, you have understood the concepts, you have understood the mistakes that we normally make, and how we are going to work upon building our website. The 5 key components of building the website we have covered, and we have understood how the website actually gets displayed to a customer. What are the services that we need to take to build our website, and so how do we move around now? Things to a certain extent would have become clearer to you. Now you would ask a simple question is, how do you proceed further? So there is a roadmap to it. The roadmap is very clear. I call it a web creation workshop. Now in this web creation workshop is where we provide, I'll guide you through having a project. It's like a project where I will guide you through building a local server, which will be a fully functional server, and you can practice your website. You can install your website on your own, which will be publicly not available, which will not be publicly available to your customers. It will only be available to you. I'll guide you through which hosting services you should use and what should your domain name be. Now, in this web creation method, what happens is you learn WordPress design. You build your website in a private server, which is hidden from public. You practice and become comfortable building website of your own organization, or as an individual if you want to make your own website. You can try different colors combinations based on the purpose of your website, what it is for. So what it does is this frees you from all the hassles and enables you to focus on being creative and getting your essential pages done. Now, later on, after you have learned how to use WordPress and you have put in all your content and design, you can decide on your domain name and get a web hosting. And this is how the professionals actually build a website of their clients. They build the website of their clients on a private hidden server, which is not available to the public. And once the website is complete, they host it and deliver it to their clients and go live. Basically, delivering and hosting means going live with the server. So how do we start? We start with the basic idea. We create some sample web pages. We create some test blogs and post on it. We add your pictures. We organize your site menus. Then we work on design and look and feel of the website with WordPress themes. And once we are comfortable with it and we know it is complete and you have learned completely about making your website, we add the actual content to your website, and then we go live with the content and make available to the public and target your audience to come to your site. So that's how you create your website. And a website in true sense reflects your nature, and you'll feel inspired once you make it, believe me. So that's all for this session, and in the next session we are going to talk about installing a local server on your PC or a laptop, installing WordPress on that server. So this is the next, that is in the week 6 we'll talk about this, and we'll go through the process of installing a server and installing a WordPress theme on your web server. So see you in the week 6 tutorial. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.